Saying goodbye is rarely simple, especially when the person leaving has quietly woven themselves into the fabric of daily life. Kelly Ripa's farewell resonated because it wasn't framed as a dramatic exit or a career headline, but as a deeply personal moment of transition. For viewers, it felt less like watching a television host step away and more like witnessing someone they knew confront change in real time. Her emotions were not polished or rehearsed, they were raw and honest. That authenticity transformed her goodbye into something larger than television. It became a shared human experience, one rooted in reflection, gratitude, and the difficult truth that even good chapters must sometimes come to an end. A constant presence in ordinary mornings. For nearly 20 years, Kelly Ripa was part of countless morning routines. She appeared in living rooms while people drank coffee, got children ready for school, or prepared to face long workdays. Over time, her presence became comforting and familiar, a steady voice in a world that often felt unpredictable. Viewers watched her evolve, not just professionally, but personally, sharing stories of family, aging, and everyday challenges. This consistency created a rare sense of connection. She wasn't just hosting a show, she was accompanying people through seasons of their lives. That long standing familiarity is why her departure felt so emotional. Losing her from the screen felt like losing a piece of routine, a small but meaningful part of daily life. The morning, the mood shifted. When Kelly appeared on screen visibly emotional, it was immediately clear that something was different. The set looked unchanged, the format familiar, but her expression carried a weight that couldn't be ignored. Her voice wavered, her eyes reflected exhaustion and sincerity, and the usual ease was replaced by quiet vulnerability. Viewers sensed they were witnessing something unplanned and deeply real. There was no dramatic announcement, just a palpable shift in energy. That stillness, both in the studio and in homes across the country, created a powerful connection. It was one of those rare television moments where performance gives way to truth, and audiences instinctively lean in, knowing they are part of something meaningful. When a farewell feels like loss. Kelly's ability to connect had always been her greatest strength. She spoke openly about family life, laughed at her own flaws, and shared moments of uncertainty with humor and humility. Over time, this openness blurred the line between public figure and familiar presence. Viewers didn't just watch her, they felt they knew her. That's why her goodbye felt so personal. It wasn't about losing a favorite show, but about letting go of someone who had been a companion through years of change. The emotion surrounding her farewell was quiet and collective, rooted in gratitude rather than spectacle. It reflected how deeply people had invested, not just in her work, but in her presence, speaking through tears and honesty. As Kelly tried to articulate her farewell, emotion overtook her. She leaned on notes not to perform, but to steady herself. Her voice cracked as she spoke about how difficult the decision had been, acknowledging fear, hesitation, and sadness. That honesty made the moment resonate even more deeply. Many viewers recognized themselves in her struggle, especially those who have faced crossroads later in life. Letting go of something familiar, something that once defined you, can be profoundly emotional. Kelly didn't hide that truth. Her tears weren't a sign of weakness, but a reflection of how much the journey had meant. In allowing herself to be seen, she gave viewers permission to honor their own difficult transitions. Choosing love over routine. At the heart of Kelly's farewell was a clear message. Family mattered most. She spoke about her husband and children with a tenderness that reframed the entire moment. This wasn't about walking away from success, but about choosing presence over routine. Many viewers connected deeply with that realization. There comes a point in life when accomplishments and schedules no longer outweigh the desire to be fully present with loved ones. Kelly's decision reflected the shift with honesty and grace. She didn't frame it as sacrifice, but as alignment, choosing what felt most meaningful in this season of her life. That clarity gave her goodbye depth and dignity. The quiet power of valuing time. One simple reflection stood out and lingered long after the broadcast ended. Kelly spoke about the importance of time and her desire not to waste it. That sentiment struck a universal chord. Time is the one thing no one can recover, no matter how successful or prepared they are. Her words prompted viewers to reflect on their own priorities. How much time is spent chasing routine, recognition, or obligation at the expense of connection? It wasn't a dramatic declaration, but a gentle truth. By saying it out loud, Kelly transformed her farewell into a reminder that life's value lies not in how full our schedules are, but in how present we choose to be. Fear as part of courage. Kelly openly acknowledged that fear nearly kept her from making this decision. Fear of change, fear of disappointing others, fear of stepping away from something familiar, all of it weighed heavily. That admission made her choice feel even more courageous. Too often, bravery is mistaken for fearlessness, when in reality it is the willingness to move forward despite uncertainty. By sharing her fear, Kelly normalized it. She showed that growth often requires stepping into discomfort, especially when the world expects you to stay exactly where you are. For many viewers facing their own transitions, her honesty served as reassurance that fear does not mean failure. It often signals change worth pursuing. A moment shared beyond the studio. The emotional impact of Kelly's farewell extended far beyond the studio walls. Social media filled with messages of gratitude, shared memories, and heartfelt tributes. Fans recalled watching her through different stages of their own lives, raising children, navigating careers, or simply finding comfort in familiar laughter each morning. Clips of her most joyful and sincere moments circulated, reminding people that her presence had been more than entertainment. It had been companionship. The collective response highlighted the depth of her connection with audiences across generations. Her influence wasn't measured in ratings alone, but in the emotional imprint she left behind. Closing one chapter, carrying the legacy forward. When the cameras finally shut off, the moment settled into quiet reflection. Applause faded, replaced by hugs, gratitude, and a shared understanding that something meaningful had ended. For viewers at home, the feeling was similar, a sense of closure mixed with appreciation. Kelly Ripa's departure marked the end of an era, but not the end of her impact. Her legacy lives on in the routines she shaped, the laughter she shared, and the honesty she modeled. She reminded people that authenticity matters, that connection is powerful, and that choosing love and presence over comfort is sometimes the bravest decision of all.